My wife slept with my twin. The truth came out at his funeral. The wife cheats on her husband with his twin brother, and this is revealed after the brother's accidental death. Hey, throwaway for obvious reasons. I'm Logan, 38, and my wife, Aubrey, 36. My twin brother was Landon. If you've ever had your life split clean down the middle in a single night, you'll get this. If you haven't, I hope you never do. From the outside we were fine. Mortgage paid on time, 2 sensible cars, brunch on Sundays, maybe kids next year. Inside, something sour had been growing, small things at first. Aubrey started keeping her phone face down and on Do Not Disturb, then accidentally leaving it in the car when she came inside. New perfumes that bloomed in the hallway and vanished before bed. Dresses I hadn't seen in years reappearing for work mixers. Whenever I asked, she'd laugh like I was cute for worrying. Logan, you're spiraling. It's networking, not Netflix and chill. Landon and I were close in the way twins sometimes are, even when adult life scatters you. Same laugh, same knuckle scar from the treehouse we tried to build and never finished. He was the charismatic one, music at parties, the easy storyteller. I was the calendar guy who brought extra napkins. He'd come by for beers and Aubrey would brighten like someone turned on a light. I told myself it was because he was fun. I told myself a lot of things. Then came the night of the accident. A wrong-way driver on the I-84 interchange. A call at 1:17 a.m. that opened a hole in the world. I remember the hospital's lemon sanitizer smell, the paperwork with my last name spelled wrong, the way the fluorescent lights made everyone look like wax figures. I called Aubrey from the hallway, voice shaking. She answered on the third ring, breathless, said she'd been asleep, then arrived 40 minutes later with eyeliner smudged and hair too neat for a pillow. At the funeral, something brittle lived in the air. People hugged me too long. Aubrey flinched when I touched her back. After the service, a cousin handed me a small box of Landon's personal effects, recovered from his car, wallet, watch, a keycard to a downtown hotel. No reason to notice it. No reason at all. And yet the moment I felt that thin rectangle against my palm, the room tilted. The mirror didn't shatter yet, but I heard it creak. The hotel keycard sat in my palm like a hot coal. After everyone left the house, I told Aubrey I needed air and drove downtown. The lobby smelled like citrus and new money. I walked to the desk and said, I think my brother left something here. Landon Hale. The clerk scanned, smiled, then blinked. Of course, Mr. Hale. Mr. Logan? She tilted her head. Same face. Sorry. My stomach dipped. She slid over an envelope marked with our last name and 2 champagne flutes embossed with the hotel logo in gold. Inside, an itemized folio. 2 nights. Sweet. Room service for 2. Strawberries, dark chocolate, a bottle of rose. A note on the account, happy anniversary, A+L. A+L. I must have stood there a full minute, heat climbing my neck, before hearing my own voice ask, casual as a stranger, can I get a copy? Back in the car, my hands shook so hard the paper rattled like a storm. The timestamp, 11:23 p.m., lined up with one of Aubrey's famous networking mixers. At home, the house was too quiet. I went to our bedroom and opened the top drawer where Aubrey kept scarves. Under a silk one I'd never seen her wear was a second phone. Sleek, fingerprint smeared, dead. I charged it. When it lit, it asked for a code. My brain, traitor that it is, tried Landon's birthday. Open. The messages were a gallery of knives. Her contact for him wasn't Landon. It was Echo. Threads full of soft focus selfies taken in hotel mirrors. Her in a slip the color of storm clouds. His hand, identical to mine, visible in the edge of a frame on her waist. Words that weren't explicit so much as intimate. I still smell you on me. Bring the cologne that makes him sneeze. A photo of that tray, strawberries bleeding juice, chocolate smudged by a thumbprint, rose petals on sheets I recognized from the hotel's Instagram. A video I didn't play, just stared at the thumbnail, the slope of her throat, a breathy laugh I'd only heard when she thought no one else was listening. The phone kept pinging, friends of hers in a group chat called Glow Girls, sending fire emojis and inside jokes about double vision. One message from Echo 4 days before the crash. Can't believe we almost got caught. He knocked right after you left. Your hair still smelled like me. I tasted metal. I scrolled further and found calendar invites. Monthly charges to a storage unit across town, a payment to a couples therapist I'd begged her to try, but the note said, no show, client canceled. I set the phone down like a fragile animal and stared at the ceiling. I thought grief had taken everything I had. Turns out it was just the opening act. I didn't plan a speech. I walked into the kitchen with the keycard in one hand and the burner phone in the other, and set them on the table like two loaded truths. Aubrey was barefoot, hair up, spooning soup into bowls like we were a normal couple who did normal Tuesday nights. "What's echo?" I asked. Her eyes flicked to the phone, then to my face, then to the keycard. A hiccup of silence. She tried a smile that didn't reach her pupils. "Logan, where did you, that's not, Landon sometimes?" "Try again." She inhaled, shaky. "It was just, emotional. After your dad's surgery I was lonely, and Landon, he was checking on me when you were at the hospital, and things got blurred." My laugh sounded like someone else's. "Blurred is strawberries and rose? Blurred is a sweet and happy anniversary A+L?" Her lip trembled. "It wasn't months, it was weeks. I swear. We kissed, we talked. I panicked. I didn't sleep with him." Her voice folded on itself at the end. I slid the phone across the table with the photo paused on her slip, his hand a ghost at her hip. "Don't lie to me in my own house." She went boneless like a puppet whose strings got cut, and dropped to her knees so fast the spoon clattered. She grabbed my wrist with both hands, mascara making clean rivers down her face. "Please, Logan. I was sick. I was grieving my own life. I didn't know who I was anymore. He was you but not you, and I hated it even while She swallowed a sob. "Say something. Please." I stared at the crown of her head, the same head I'd kissed 1,000 times, and thought of Landon's knuckle scar, my mirror image doing things with my wife I'd been begging her to try for years. Not explicit things, just intimacy with the lights on, that laugh she saved for hotel mirrors. "How long?" She hesitated, half a second too long. 6 weeks. I held up 6 fingers, then flipped through the folios. 9 stays spread across nearly a year. Her face collapsed. Okay, longer. But it was like an addiction. You said all the right words. You smelled like you. I felt safe and reckless at the same time. "I'm trash. I know I am. But I love you, Logan. I never stopped. I swear on my mother." "Don't put this on your mother," I said, and she flinched like I'd slapped her. "Don't put this on grief or on me. You had a therapist you never showed up for." She crawled closer, knees squeaking against tile, fingers climbing my forearm like ivy. "I'll fix it. I'll quit my job, we'll move, I'll change my number, I'll go to therapy twice a week. Delete the phone, block everyone. I'll do anything. I'll sleep on the couch. Her voice cracked into a whisper. "Please don't leave me. You're all I have left." I pulled my arm free. "You had 2 of me and you picked the secret one." She pressed her forehead to my knee, shoulders shaking. "I was broken. I'm so sorry. Say you'll try. Please." I wanted to be the man who walked away clean. Instead, I stood there counting the breaths between us, and heard myself say the worst sentence I've ever said. "Get up. We're going to try until we don't." Trying felt like learning to breathe underwater. We set rules, my rules, because the therapist, the one she'd been no-showing, said structure helps. Full transparency, no locked phones, GPS sharing, weekly counseling, and she'd quit the mixers. Aubrey nodded so hard her ponytail bobbed like a metronome. She cried on the intake couch, voice hitching, fingers laced through mine like ropes. "I'll be an open book, Logan. I'll earn you back." She was already on her knees the night after, palms up like a penitent at church, begging me to delete the photos so we can stop torturing ourselves. I didn't. I couldn't. The first week she became perfect wife theater. Meal preps, sticky notes that said, "I'm lucky it's you," candlelit dinners where she'd reach for my hand with trembly sincerity. In the morning she'd climb into my lap, whispering apologies against my throat, trying to press new memories over the old ones like wallpaper on broken plaster. I wanted to want it. Sometimes I almost did, until a cologne on a stranger in the elevator yanked me back into the suite I'd never stepped foot in. My body would go rigid. She'd notice and start sobbing again, big gulpy tears, swearing she hadn't texted anyone, begging me to check her phone. I did. Hourly. Obsessive. I slept with it under my pillow like a cursed talisman. 2 weeks in, I went to the storage unit from the credit card statement. Inside, a soft museum to their lie. A shoebox of hotel key sleeves. A silk robe I'd never seen. A Polaroid of a wrist with our identical scar and her caption, "My Echo." A composition notebook with pressed hotel receipts and notes in her looping hand. "Ask Elle about Montana. Try the rose he likes. Don't wear the peach lipstick. Logan notices." I sat on the cold concrete and let grief and rage braid themselves into something that felt like electricity. I drove home with the box on the passenger seat and didn't bring it inside. I tried anyway. I cooked. I planned dumb date nights. I took her to the park where we had our first kiss. She cried there too, confessed new micro-lies like offerings. Okay, we did stay a third night that once. Okay, we told the staff it was an anniversary. Okay, I kept the robe because it made me feel wanted. Each confession was a tiny death with its own funeral. I started waking at 3:07 a.m. like someone yanked a fire alarm in my chest. I'd stand in the bathroom gripping the sink, hearing phantom hotel door latches, smelling strawberries that weren't there. I dropped weight without trying, then ate drive-through fries in the dark, then ran until my knees ached. I tried to touch her and my hands shook. I couldn't touch her and hated myself for that too. Forgiveness wasn't a road, it was quicksand. The more I fought, the deeper I sank. One night, halfway through a movie, her phone lit with a number saved as Salon. My stomach iced over. The text preview, "Miss your voice." She lunged for it, babbling, No, it's a spam thing, and then the water broke in my eyes and all the air left the room. She slid to the carpet, on her knees again, promising it was a wrong number, clinging to my ankles like a drowning swimmer. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. It didn't matter. I realized I hadn't breathed normally since the funeral. I told the therapist I wanted to stay. I told myself I was noble, that marriage meant fighting. The truth? I was terrified of the silence that would come after I let go. I was terrified of losing both my brother and my wife in the same season and having nothing left but the echo. The day after the Salon text, I stopped announcing my feelings and started building an arc. You learn in disaster zones that sirens are for spectators. Survivor's pack. First move, P.O. Box 2 towns over. Second, new checking account at a credit union Aubrey forgets exists, my paycheck redirected in a way that wouldn't trip alarms for a pay cycle or two. I pulled our credit reports and found a store card I'd never heard of, opened 6 months prior and used to buy home decor. Translation, hotel lingerie. I froze it, then photographed everything, statements, the burner, the storage locker key sleeve with A+L, doodled like a teenage yearbook. I made a digital evidence folder, backed it to a hardware encrypted drive, and stuck that in my gym bag under the lifting belt I never used. I called a lawyer on my lunch break. She had a calm voice and a shark smile I could hear over the phone. Don't confront. Document. If you separate, do it once with terms. Grief makes people sloppy. You can't afford sloppy. She told me to stop the late-night doom texting and start a timeline instead. I did. Dates, locations, lies, her knee-begging greatest hits. Boundaries went up like scaffolding. Phones on the counter at night. Location sharing. No mixers, no networking, no girls' nights with the glow girls who sent fire emojis when she admitted to double vision. Aubrey nodded so hard I thought her head would pop off. She cried, of course she cried, and grabbed for my wrists, of course she grabbed. I'll be good, Logan. I'll be transparent. I'll sit in the shame if that's what it takes. Please just don't shut me out. She kept trying to smash intimacy and pity into the same jar and hand it to me like communion. I started running before dawn, not far, not fast. I told her it was to clear my head. Truth, it let me loop past the storage unit and make sure the padlock hadn't moved. It let me practice leaving the house while she slept, so when it was time, my bones would know the choreography. Then Landon's estate lawyer emailed. A mediated meeting was scheduled to sort the accident insurance, his lease, and personal effects. Aubrey saw the subject line and went pale. Do I need to be there? She asked, voice metallic. I said yes because I wanted the room, the table, the witnesses. I wanted one clean moment where lies couldn't breathe. That night she came to bed in that storm cloud slip, the one from the video she swore she'd deleted. Maybe if we rewrote this dress, she tried, voice small, fingers at the strap. I looked at her and saw a museum of our dead. Not tonight, I said, and slept on top of the covers with my shoes on, like a man who knew the fire drill. I stopped correcting her little rewrites, the 6 weeks that were 9 months, the kissing that was rose and room service. I let her talk because every new version was another knot she tied around herself. My revenge wasn't loud. It was arithmetic. Add facts, subtract access, multiply distance, divide assets. The mediation room was all glass and air conditioning, one of those spaces where the city looks like a screensaver. Landon's estate attorney sat at the head, my lawyer with the shark smile at my right. Aubrey walked in last, already damp around the eyes like she'd preloaded tears in the car. Aubrey's orbit kept trying to yank me back. A cousin DM'd me a picture of her crying in a bathroom stall. She's a wreck, Logan. The Glow Girls posted a carousel of healing crystals, with a caption about accountability journeys, and tagged her. Jade, her sister, commented a skull emoji like it was all a joke. I typed she cheated with my twin, and deleted it. Petty would be easy. Precision was better. I let the internet misremember us. Food got simple. Egg whites, rice, hot sauce, repeat. The quiet was loud those first weeks, but it started filling with things that didn't ask me to bleed for them. Podcasts about people who built cabins, a playlist of late 90s guitar songs, a dorky app that gave me gold stars for walking 10,000 steps. I bought a used camera from a pawn shop because the city looked different when I pretended I was a tourist. Framed in glass, even the billboard looked like art. One night, mid-jump rope, a memory of Aubrey on her knees in the mediation room ambushed me. I stumbled, rope stung my calf, rage fizzed, and then fizzled. The goblin in my chest looked up like, ha! Maybe anger was fuel, not a home. I went another 50 skips without tripping. It was nothing. It was everything. I started thinking of my life like a jar on the counter, and every day I had to put 1 penny in. Not a gold bar. Not a lottery ticket. Just a penny. Miss a day, the jar doesn't yell, it just doesn't fill. Penny 1. Alarms at 6:10, 6:15, 6:20. Out of bed on the first beep that didn't feel like a siren. No solo drinking, period. If I wanted a beer, I had to have a friend in the room and a reason. Most nights, water and tea. Aubrey's mom would call that monastic. I called it breathing. Penny 2. Move daily. Move could be anything. 10 laps around the apartment lot, a slow jog to the deli, kid who now called me Cardio Logan, a YouTube mobility routine that made my hips pop like bubble wrap. I taped a calendar to the wall and X'd out days like a prisoner with a good lawyer. Penny 3. Food that didn't gaslight me. The app on my phone became a cranky little accountant. If it didn't get logged, it didn't get eaten. I wasn't trying to punish my body, I was trying to stop lying to it. Oats, eggs, rice, chicken, salsa. Sundays I batch cooked like a dad in a sitcom. When cravings hit, I promised myself I could have the thing tomorrow if I still wanted it. Tomorrow kept moving. Penny 4. Therapy worksheets the couples counselor had emailed months ago, the ones Aubrey canceled on. I did them alone at the card table, pen scratching, hands shaking less each time I wrote, I am not responsible for lies I didn't tell. I set a 30-minute timer and treated it like payroll. Penny 5. The camera. It started as distraction, turned into ritual. Golden hour on the overpass. Back alley brick textures. Stray cats sunning on dumpster lids like royalty. Framed in glass, the world looked ordered. It was a relief to make something that didn't talk back. My world got small on purpose. Phone in airplane mode after 9 p.m. The 2 friends who were good for me got keys to the rental. Everyone else lived in my inbox until further notice. Gym 3 mornings a week. A dingy spot that smelled like rubber mats and old victories. I learned to deadlift without tearing myself in half. The bar felt like a sentence I could finally finish. Aubrey's static kept hissing at the edges. Mystery accounts, salon numbers, her mother leaving voicemails about forgiveness like it was a casserole, but they got quieter when my routine got louder. Jade posted a wine night boomerang captioned, "Men are weak," and for the first time I didn't feel the need to defend myself to people who collected skeletons like decor. One night, I lined up all the little wins in my head like dominoes. No beer, ran a mile without stopping, logged my food, stretched, shot 3 photos I liked, and felt a hum under my ribs. Not joy exactly. Competence. Dignity. The goblin in my chest yawned and curled up. I rinsed my mug, set my shoes by the door, and laid out tomorrow's clothes like a promise. Stack enough pennies, one day you can pay cash for a life. Revenge wanted a parade. Dignity wanted a scalpel. I picked the scalpel. I booked a small room at the community center, to inventory Landon's keepsakes with family. Fold-out tables, bad coffee, fluorescent lights. The opposite of drama. My parents came with a crate of his vinyl. Aubrey arrived already crying, Jade clacking in late with a goblet-sized iced rose, Pamela wearing a funeral black sheath like she'd been born in it. 2 of the Glow girls drifted in to support. I set a laptop on the table and said, "We'll keep this quick." First, boxes, guitar pedals, a shoebox of ticket stubs, a cigar tin with our matching treehouse nails. Then calmly I slid out a thinner folder. Before we divide anything else, I want to correct the record. Pamela rolled her eyes like she'd practiced in a mirror. Logan, I raised a hand. This is not a debate. I clicked a slideshow. Dates, receipts, the exact same exhibits I'd used at mediation. No nudity, no rage. Just timestamps, hotel folios stamped in tasteful gold, a photo of that storage shelf. A screenshot with the caption "Happy Anniversary A+L." The room tightened. Jade tried to laugh and it died on the vinyl. Aubrey folded, predictably, to her knees, fingers steepled like a child caught shoplifting. I was sick, I was lost, I was grieving, She reached for my ankle. I stepped back. Pamela started her speech about men protect what's theirs, but Dad, quiet Dad, set down a record and said almost conversationally, Pamela, your daughter humiliated my son. We are not doing that here. Then I played the voicemail. 3 weeks before the crash, Landon had called me at 2:03 a.m. I missed it. In the chaos I never listened. I found it cleaning out my iCloud, his voice hoarse and tired. Lo, I messed up. I'm ending it tomorrow. I swear. I'll tell you everything. Don't hate me. I love you. The room stopped breathing. Aubrey's mouth opened and closed, a fish tipped from its bowl. Pamela's hand flew to her chest. Jade whispered, "Oh." I looked at all of them and said, "Level, he didn't get the chance to end it. I won't let his last act be a lie told about who he was. And I won't wear her story anymore." I handed out 3 envelopes, one for my parents, one for Aubrey, one for her mother. Inside, copies of the timeline, a notarized separation notice, and instructions for picking up the last of Aubrey's things from a storage locker in my name with a code that would expire in 48 hours. There will be no more phone calls. No more messages from salons. No crystals in Sedona. If you contact me, my lawyer will answer. Aubrey crawled forward on her knees, tears stringing her mascara into black vines. Please, Logan, don't leave me to drown. I'll be clean. I'll be small. I'll disappear if you want, just don't disappear from me. Her palms were up like offerings. I felt the old gravity tug, and then the rope snapped. Stand up, Aubrey, I said, quiet. Or don't. But I'm done kneeling for anyone's version of me. I closed the laptop. No speeches. No mic drop. Just the clean slice. The clean slice didn't stop the bleeding, it just told me which way to walk. The day after the community center reveal, the flood began. A burner number, I'm late. Then another, I think I'm pregnant. Yours. 10 minutes later, a photo of a pharmacy test. Blurry, tilted, a ghost of a second line. My stomach lurched, then my brain caught up. The timestamp in the corner was from 3 months ago. I forwarded it to my lawyer and went for a run in the rain until my shirt stuck to my spine. Her family split like bad plywood. Pamela called to inform me I'd orphaned her daughter. I let it ring. Jay DM'd a collage of Aubrey sobbing in different rooms like a lookbook for contrition, plus a voice memo. She says you were cruel. You starved her of love. That's abuse, Logan. My finger hovered over reply. I forced it to airplane mode and breathed through the old impulse to explain myself to people who collect headlines, not facts. Then a cruiser rolled slow past my rental. 2 officers at the door, polite faces. We got a wellness call. Report said there were raised voices, property damage. I stepped back, palms visible, and invited them in to see the monk cell I'd built, card table desk, folded laundry, jump rope on a hook. One officer clocked the timeline stuck to the fridge and the no contact sticky note on the laptop. Happening a lot lately, he said softly at the door. After they left, I found a Reddit burner post with just enough details to be us. He's a narcissist. He screamed. I feared for my life. I saved a PDF and closed the tab. Don't feed it. The next skeleton kicked out of the closet on a Tuesday. Landon's old email password worked on a shared cloud folder. I opened it with hands I didn't recognize. Inside were drafts, apology letters he never sent. One addressed to me, one to Aubrey telling her to tell me, one to himself with a subject line that read coward. My lungs did that thing like an elevator dropping. Love and fury braided again. He was trying to end it. He still chose it. 2 truths can sit in one room and glare. Aubrey's last play was scripture. A handwritten letter slid under my door, pages of Bible verses and the word repent underlined like a curse. Tucked in the back, a photocopy of a doctor confirmation, with her name spelled wrong and a date that landed squarely in the middle of one of their hotel receipts. I didn't call. I compiled. I sent it all to the Shark Smile lawyer and to a private therapist I'd finally booked with. Then I put my phone in a drawer, laced my shoes, and went to the river with my camera, where the only echo was water on rock. The therapist's office had ficus trees that looked fake and a sand tray I never touched. Dr. Avery talked like a person, not a brochure. First session, she asked what I wanted that had nothing to do with Aubrey. I said, quiet. She nodded. Let's make rules that buy you quiet. Rule 1. Sobriety with training wheels. No alcohol alone, no alcohol within 48 hours of high emotion, no alcohol after dark. It wasn't about being a saint, it was about not turning my brain into a funhouse when I needed a map. Rule 2. 30 minutes outdoors daily like a prescription. Rule 3. If I found myself composing speeches to Pamela or drafting clapbacks to Jade, I had to do 10 push-ups or write 10 lines that started with "I feel," not "she did." I hated it. It worked. I doubled down on the camera. Saturdays became light chasing, dawn on the river, rusted train cars, a blue heron stabbing at minnows like a fencer. I joined a local photo walk, 10 strangers, 3 dogs, 1 retired chemistry teacher who knew every trick film ever pulled. Nobody asked about my marriage. We argued about aperture and whether clouds were cheating. I started printing photos and clipping them to a string in the kitchen. The rental looked less like a crime scene, more like a studio. My body came back online. Not a movie montage, more like software patch notes. Sleep improved to not terrible. Knees stopped sounding like popcorn. I could do 10 pull-ups if I lied about the last 2. The deli kid started running the block with me and introduced me to his grandma, who gave me oranges and unsolicited advice. Don't marry a woman who hates your laugh. Deal. Mom brought boxes of my old junk and we found my father's Polaroid from '89. He'd circled a sun glare with a red pen and written, "Accidental Angel." We framed it. Dad came by to hang it and drilled too big a hole, then shrugged and said, "Bigger screw," like that was an entire worldview. Maybe it is. Aubrey's side kept throwing pebbles at the windows. Jade posted a black screen story, "Some men are abusers," with a location tag 2 blocks from my place. I let the silence do its work. Pamela mailed me a book about forgiveness with passages highlighted. I mailed it to my lawyer, then to the thrift store. Aubrey sent one last voice memo, her voice small as a pocket. "I wake up reaching for you." I opened the Notes app, typed "I wake up reaching for myself" and left it there. I took a long weekend and drove north with the camera. I slept in a motel that smelled like lemon cleaner and cigarettes, ate a grilled cheese at a counter where the waitress called me Han, photographed a fog bank rolling over a lake like a slow animal. On the way back, I didn't think about the sweet or the strawberries or the storm cloud slip. I thought about light and how it makes even broken things worth looking at. I wasn't healed. I was organized. That was new. Recovery wasn't fireworks, it was errands. Dr. Avery kept me honest. "What are you building that Aubrey can't touch?" So I built. The sobriety rules stuck. I started teaching myself film developing at the community center darkroom, red light, chemical trays, the slow magic of an image appearing out of nothing. There's a peace in watching a photo earn itself. I wanted that for me. I joined a Tuesday night climbing group because Cardio Logan needed a new personality. First session, my forearms screamed. The guy belaying me, Noah, tattooed lightning bolt on his calf, said, "Trust the rope, man." I did, and the wall didn't win. Later we grabbed tacos with the crew, and for 2 hours no one asked about grief. They just argued about hot sauce like it mattered. I drove home and realized my shoulders were down for the first time in months. Work noticed too. My boss, Harper, all black outfits and espresso, pulled me into her glass cube and said, "You've been carrying quiet weight, Hale. Want a client lead?" I said yes before my imposter syndrome found a microphone. Turns out structure breeds more structure. Pay bump hit. I didn't celebrate with whiskey. I bought a better lens and a plant I haven't killed yet. Somewhere in there, kindness stopped tasting like weakness. I'd held the door for Aubrey's chaos so long I forgot gentleness can belong to people who don't weaponize it. At the photo walk, a woman named Sloan with a buzz cut and a camera older than both of us asked if I'd trade prints. We compared shots over coffees that turned into long walks where nothing had to be performed. When I told her, Cliff Note style, why I prefer daylight and clear exits, she didn't flinch or ask for gore. She just said, "Your eye is soft in a way that makes hard things look honest." I wrote that in my Notes app and circled it twice. Aubrey's orbit decayed. The Glow Girls found new drama. Jade blocked me after I didn't react to a post about reformed cheaters. Pamela mailed a Christmas card with a Bible verse about prodigals underlined. I mailed nothing back. My parents came over for chili. Dad hung another frame, correct screw, first try, and told a Landon story that made us laugh without feeling like thieves. We missed him. It didn't gut us the same way. I kept dating off the table, not as a punishment but as a promise. I took myself to movies, sat in the middle row with milk duds and didn't cry at the trailers. I took the bike safety course I'd bookmarked for a decade and learned that leaning into the turn keeps you upright. Feels like a metaphor because it is. The old tape still plays sometimes. Maybe you were boring, maybe she was right, maybe you weren't enough. Now I can pause it, label it, and set it back on the shelf. Traits she called safe like it was an insult. Steadiness, loyalty, showing up, turn out to be gold when you stop handing them to people who chew. I don't feel like a ghost in my own life anymore. More like a guy who learned to thread a new film and didn't waste the light. Routine gave me edges, Edges gave me air. I kept the pennies jar metaphor and added a second, call it the joy jar. One tiny thing a day that wasn't survival. A good espresso, a new route on the climbing wall, a photo that caught sun flare just right. Some days the joy penny was, sat in the park and didn't check my phone. That counted. Sloane and I kept orbiting. Not dating, just steady intersections. We traded zines in the darkroom and argued about grain like it mattered. She asked if I wanted to shoot a roadside neon series an hour out where the sky still goes properly black. I drove. We ate gas station gummy bears and listened to Maggie Rogers like teenagers. When she reached for my hand at a crosswalk, I let her, then let go at the curb and told the truth, I'm not a safe bet yet. She grinned. I didn't bring a bet. I brought film. Relapse feelings still snuck up, feral and fast. A whiff of rose on an elevator, a hotel commercial between innings, a twin on the street who wasn't mine. The goblin's back, but quieter. I'd label it, panic, grief, old story, then do one of my rules, 10 push-ups, a walk right I feel, until the shaking passed. Sometimes I'd text Noah, wall? He'd reply, rope at 7, and I'd spend an hour being a person who trusts something sturdy. Work became a place I could stand tall. Harper slid me the kind of client that used to scare me. I scared less. I built a deck I was proud of, presented it without my voice wobbling, and walked out into September air that felt earned. I took Friday afternoon off and rode the city's bike loop alone, a lazy figure eight that put me on bridges with no memory attached. I leaned into the turns and the bike leaned back. Mom and Dad came to the community center when the photo club did a tiny show. I hung 3 prints, rusted red, river silver, a sun flare that looked like an accident and wasn't. Dad stood too close and said, bigger screw, then kissed my cheek. Mom cried, but the good kind. A woman asked if the river print was for sale. I priced it dumb and she didn't blink. I walked to the parking lot holding cash and something like peace. Aubrey's orbit finally decayed to static. One last message, Jade's hope you're happy now, landed like a paper airplane and fell short of the porch. I didn't pick it up. Pamela mailed nothing. The burner numbers went dark. Maybe they found a new echo. I got my own. I started planning forward on purpose. A week in Montana next spring with a rented cabin and a lens I can't afford yet. A climb I can't top today but will by Christmas. A motorcycle course with a refundable deposit and a friend who'll talk me out of it if I'm being reckless. I keep my apartment clean and my calendar honest. I cook dinner for myself like I'm company. Some nights are still loud. I still wake at 3:07 sometimes. But the fire alarm isn't a fire, it's a memory. I breathe, drink water, write 3 lines and go back to sleep. The mirror doesn't creak anymore. It reflects. I don't hate who I see. I wouldn't have written this 6 months ago because I didn't believe it. You can build a life that doesn't apologize for existing. You can be kind and not be a doormat. You can be safe and still be electric. Revenge turned out to be remarkably boring. Pay bills, keep promises, tell the truth, get stronger, make art, and somehow that's the most thrilling thing I've ever done. If you've read this far, here's the part where I tell you what I wish someone had told me the night the mirror cracked. First, you are not the sum of someone else's lies. Aubrey told stories about me so they could fit around what she did. Landon told none and left me with silence. Both felt like prisons. The keys were boring. Eat real food, move, sleep, write it down, call a lawyer, call a therapist, call your mom. Boring saved my life. I thought revenge would be cinematic. Turns out it's receipts in a folder, a lock changed, a calendar with excess, a body that gets a little less shaky each week. The day I realized I didn't need to win an argument with Pamela or Jade was the day oxygen came back. Second, love doesn't require self-erasure. I used to pride myself on being safe, and somewhere along the line I started apologizing for it, like steadiness made me small. It doesn't. There are people who will treat your steadiness like a trampoline, and people who will treat it like a foundation. Pick the foundation people. Sloane, if you ever read this, thanks for bringing film instead of bets. Third, if you're in the middle, the 3:07 a.m. chest alarm, the fixer fantasies, the bargaining with ghosts, here's your checklist from a stranger on the internet. Stop arguing with anyone who profits from you being the villain. Document, don't detonate. Facts travel farther than fury. Set 3 rules you can keep this week. Keep them like rents do. Tell 2 people who love you the unpretty truth. Let them sit with you while you don't perform. Give your hands a job. Cook, lift, climb, build, shoot photos, change a tire. Anything that reminds your nervous system it belongs to a person who can do things. Fourth, grief and betrayal can coexist. I miss my brother. I'm furious at him. I can hold both without shattering because I stopped pretending one cancels the other. Last, the good life is not an apology tour. I don't owe the internet a redemption arc for Aubrey. I don't owe her family a final statement. I owe myself a Tuesday that feels clean, a body I can trust, and a circle that doesn't require me to bleed to earn my seat. So, advice to the next Logan: don't wait for permission to leave the burning room. Pack your quiet. Choose the scalpel. Stack your pennies. Build a jar for joy. Let the goblin rage while you put your shoes by the door for tomorrow. And when the day comes that you catch your face in a window and it doesn't look like a ghost, take the picture. That's your afterlight. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.